Alright guys, this is Lonnie from Jeep Extreme. I inherited a four-wheeler, sadly, from my girlfriend's grandpa. Passed away in a fire. So, a house fire, and unexpectedly, obviously, it just, it's crazy. I'd seen him 3 days prior to that, and then next thing you know, the house goes up in flames, and I had the Pioneer parked in the barn, and I had this in the barn, which this was his. He had given it to me weeks prior to that. He had told me, take this thing, you'll take care of it, and whatnot. It's pretty beat up. It's been used on the farm in Missouri for years. I wanted to go over with you on one of the things that got burned up was the ignition, and you can buy these really cheap. I don't know how long they'll last. I put one on that four-wheeler over there because it was bad, and they had spliced it, and it was, the pins, and I guess when you switch the key, that one, it has like an auxiliary light and all that, and the pins in there were not connecting, so it was kind of shorting out, and so I replaced it. It was like, I think $14 or something for that Suzuki Vincent 500. This is like $9 or less. Comes with 2 keys and a new ignition. It's plug and play, supposedly. These were made for over a decade, these Honda Rancher 300 four-wheel drive, full-time four-wheel drives. And they are this little sucker, man. I mean, I've used it out there and hauled stuff. It's insanely torquey. And it'll go about anywhere, and I'm a big dude. I mean, I'm like 260, 6'9". I barely fit on it, and the thing just hauled, and you could put a deer on the back, a deer on the front. You could, and still pull it up a dang, 45-degree hill, not slip an inch. Tires will have to be replaced. Front headlights bad. CV boots are bad because they're barbed wire that was left in the fields. Plastics are kind of cracked here and there. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to tidy them up the best I can. Fix the back rack up a little bit, take some of the bends out, may cut that out, who knows. One of the biggest things though is, obviously, since the keys got burned up in the fire, is replacing the ignition. The way to do that is you can take a flathead screwdriver and you can just kind of go around this Honda emblem here that's on there, and you can pop that off. You'll see the 2 Phillips screwdriver. You can pop this cover off. You still got, all your status lights and your ignition, so you're just going to be able to roll it over, and then it should wire in down there. We'll see, because this is my first time doing this on a Honda, and we'll see how hard it is. One of the other things that I'm definitely going to replace, if you see this, yeah, the bushing that holds the steering is just completely gone. So I'm going to replace that bushing. I haven't gotten that yet, but that definitely is getting replaced, as well as the boots, and maybe a CV on the front. I can't tell. I think one's like kind of pops, maybe. I don't know. It made this gun rack. I'm going to keep that on there. I'll probably reinforce it a little better so it doesn't just do that. He was a diabetic, and he lost his foot. So he had made this little shifter apparatus thing so he could use his hand to shift it, which is really cool. I'm gonna leave it on there because it reminds me of him. He had rigged up a string to put it in reverse. I'm going to try to fix that the right way. And you can see he's still got, it's got the kick start on there. So if you can't get it started with the battery, you can use the kicker. And hey, Coda girl. And then the plastics got to be fixed there. Tires definitely are shot, but no more shot than those over there on that one. Got a hole through the fender. But man, these things are just tough as nails. It runs good, it doesn't smoke. Alright, I took 2 screws loose, and you can slide that back. You got a lot of wires. This right here just pops out from the front up. You can see right here that it has been replaced before, which is not uncommon, especially on one this old. Match up the wires and plug and go if I have anything else that needs it. But yeah, that's pretty easy, self-explanatory, super easy to do, and well worth it. On this, the Chinese manufacturer of this ignition, the wires are different colors, so I got to figure that out. I didn't pull, this ignition's already been replaced, so I didn't have that box that's underneath here. So if you have the box that's underneath here, you're probably going to be best to pull the fender off, but you're going to need 13mm for, pull the rack off. You got 4 bolts, 2 underneath here, you got Phillips right here, but you got one here, those are all 13. Pull that off, Phillips on both sides, and I think the fender, after you pull these off with a 10, one on each side there, sorry I'm all over the place, 10s, 13s, Phillips, and then you can pull off the whole fender assembly. So I have to replace this bushing in here, which is very common to fail, and do some other things. So I'm just going to pull it all off. I'm going to repaint the racks and all that. So 2 10s there also. You got 2, I assume 10s down low. B8s, but I think they're 10s. Yep. This one, the other side isn't. So there's more than just that. Then you got your lights to take loose. So here's the plug. It's 3 plugs. Goes to your lights. Left side as you're sitting at. Got those 3. Boom. These things were a pain, man. Mine kind of melted right here, and I tried drilling and everything. PB blastered and everything. All the stuff loose, I'm gonna put back up. Alright guys, I got the lithium grease, which I'm just gonna use that. And then I got this bushing. It's like a poly looking bushing of some kind. Got a split on it so you can get it around the shaft up here. And I think I'm gonna put the split at the front, because when you're sitting and got your hands on the steering wheel, you're usually pulling or you're turning. So I'm just gonna do it that way. So there's an up and a down side of the bushing. It's labeled up. The side with the collar obviously is the side that's up. And I've got mine sitting just like that. Perfectly in there. And I'll just put the 2 bolts back on that, and that's done. Then finish my ignition. And then I worked on the rack. I welded actually the kind of bent back the front rack. And welded it on, took the bolts out, painted it up. That's better by far. It's not wobbly like it was. Alright guys, if you ever get Chinese, now there she went dead. If you ever get a Chinese harness, this is how it matches up. See that? Black to pink and white, red to red, black to black, green to pink and gray. The reason it died is this thing's bad. I gotta replace it eventually. I had the fuel shut off and ran it out of the carb. Gotta hook the lights back up. I've worked on this, and I got it pulled off, trying to fix this light housing. There's one thing about these, man, these four-wheelers run good. They're strong, dependable. Poured gas on the floor. It was actually out of gas. It's got a petcock leak somewhere down there. I don't know where. I taped up the wires, and now I'm gonna try to get the front plastics back on, the rack mounted, and then the air tires aired up. Then I'll go to replacing the front CV boots like I had stated in the earlier, cleaning it up more. Alright, this is Odin, 2-year-old Neo Mastiff, 180 pounds. I think we introduced him earlier, but he's our new boy. He's a good boy too. He just slobbers and drools every 4-wheeler together. Got the ignition in, obviously, as I showed you. Lights work. She starts up. She runs. Perfect little gem, man. Got a lot of work to do left with it, but for now, It's doing real well. He's not too fond of four-wheelers. He's not used to them. Got the lights straightened up, those jacked up. This is welded as I stated earlier. Got some work to do.